Why don't we move on to something else I think is worth the watch, though? And wrapped up series finale, The Good Place, wrapped up this past Thursday. After 4 seasons, I thought it was five because they always split it up in the middle.
Yep.
Um,
Broadcast television.
yeah, another Michael Schur, hit, just like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, probably the lesser of his hits, but Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
It,
Wrote for The Office
yeah, Row for the
originally.
Office. Very, and it's very much in that style. You can kind of tell when it's a Michael Schur product. It has a very like distinct feel to it. And I've mentioned The Good Place in the past as a show I've really enjoyed. It's been on some of my end of year lists. I know you haven't really gotten a chance to get around to it, and I don't know if this is really like a show that's up your alley or your interests, but it's a show that I think mixes a really cool concept, like when you die, like what the afterlife is like, and really giving like a spin on it that you wouldn't expect.
Mhm.
It's very much just like it looks like everyday life, and that's kind of the twist. Spoiler in season one that they're not actually in the good place,
Right.
but uh, it adds a philosophical perspective to it, kind of like what makes us human, what's the point of being on earth, and making relationships and trying to be a good person, like why do we do it. Well, also with just these very like sweet characters that when put together, the six of them are just absolutely phenomenal, and they have such good chemistry together. And for some of them, this was their first really big role. I mean, you obviously had Ted Danson and Kristen
Mhm.
Bell, who were very famous going into this, but then you have someone like Jamila Jamil,
Right.
who this was literally her first acting job,
Yeah.
and
Huge
just
breakout, obviously.
yeah, absolutely kills it. Um, I'm trying. Chidi's name is Chad O'Shea Jackson, I believe. Let me just double check that because I don't
Chat
want
O'Shea Jackson Jr.,
to.
Ice Cube's
Yeah,
son. Is he
no,
on the
not
show too?
no. It's William Jackson Harper. Sorry, who was also in he's in Midsommar. He's starting to really break out as an
Oh,
actor. Um, you obviously have DRC Corden, who's been
right.
everywhere. She's just blowing up and going to be an absolute star. And then like Manny Jacinto,
Mhm.
who's hilarious on this and gets to really be like the comedic levity for most episodes. And they just meshed together so well. And it wrapped up, I think, in a really beautiful way. It was an episode that definitely had my emotions going up and down for some really beautiful moments, some really tear jerking moments. Um, and overall just wraps up so thoughtfully. I'm not gonna spoil it for anyone that hasn't had a chance to watch. I really recommend it. It's only 4 seasons, probably about 80 20-minute episodes, and a good comfort watch that'll make you think more than you probably expect to going into something like this.
Right.
But boy, just an absolute pleasure. And they had a Seth Meyers leading a finale breakdown show after the fact with all the main cast, and hearing them talk about it, you can just see how this working on this has really meant a lot to all of them. Even someone like Ted Danson, who's obviously legendary in the
Mhm.
acting sphere for the past going on 5 decades now. Um, to see him really be moved by what they made and the meaning that they feel like they got across in this is just uh, it's really exciting and really sad to see it go. I know I'm gonna miss it. It was hard to like have this be the end because I just felt like I was really losing something. So, do you ever plan on checking this out?
I mean, probably not. I usually don't watch a lot of like the traditional studio comedies. Like, Cher's also done Brooklyn Nine-Nine, a show that like I don't hear any bad things about these shows, but I always gravitate towards dramas, and I always never am um, lacking things to watch. So
Mm-hmm.
I just never make the time
Yeah.
usually. But I think Mike Schur overall is just a really interesting guy to me, and
Mm-hmm.
certainly continue to keep following what he does. I mean, he inked that big, overall deal with NBC Universal last year. Like over $100 million. He's like, their their biggest prize, arguably, and he's like been with NBC for like over 20 years at this point. But
Yep.
he's going to be making lots of content for Peacock. He's could be one of the big drivers of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested to see what else he keeps doing, even as like something like Brooklyn Nine-Nine keeps going. So
Yeah.
definitely honestly one of the most powerful and I think just kind of intriguing creators on TV, and it's just cool to keep up with that.
Yeah, there's something to be said about making these like 30-minute comfort shows, and they don't get the prestige that something like an HBO hour drama gets, but man, I feel like they're almost more valuable in a sense with everything that's like going on politically in the world. I feel like it's like one of those times during the week where I'm like, okay, I get to just like enjoy this half hour rather than maybe having to
Right.
carry some of that weight. So um, definitely sad to see it go. Highly recommend people check it out.